In this one, I'm going to take a look at one of the VHS machines that came out of that estate house clear out. This one's an Emerson model 4003, and it's totally non-functional. Let's check it out. This time I have an Emerson 4003. This is a mono piece of junk VCR that's worth me spending 5 minutes on. This came out of the estate, and I haven't done anything. I haven't even plugged it in yet. So let's plug it in together and see if it does anything. Well, that doesn't sound good. It sounds like a motor's running, and there's no tape or anything in it. So let's spend 5 minutes and see if we can fix this thing. Something like this I get 20 bucks for to sell. If it was a hi-fi machine, it would be worth a little bit more. But VCRs, unless they're Betamax. Oh no, Beta! Oh yes, Beta! If you see what Beta machines are going for on eBay, they're going for a small fortune. Some of them are commanding prices upwards of $1,600 to $1,700. That would be like for the SLHF 1000. But a Beta hi-fi machine, believe it or not, they regularly go for between $300 and $500. I sold a two-head mono Beta machine a couple of years ago for 400 bucks on eBay. One of the few things I've actually sold on eBay. And the guy that bought it from me bought it because he needed to archive tapes. So the VHS machines, they're not there yet. 8mm decks are also really going up in price because camcorders are failing. People can't get them fixed. And they've got tapes that they want to be able to play back or archive. I'm just doing a big archive order right now for a guy from a camcorder that his camera broke. Okay, so we'll plug it in. And it's turning to the left here, so I'm assuming that maybe the mode switch is dirty on this one. We'll just try turning the cam by hand and just see what happens. Yeah, I think the mode switch is probably dirty on this, because now it seemed to have reset the mechanism. Let's just see if I push a tape in, whether it'll do anything. Yeah, now it's going to load. Head drum's not turning on. And of course it's going to eat the tape and do everything else it's going to try and do, because the mode switch, I think, is dirty. I think that's probably what's wrong with this one. So let's see if I'm right, first of all. Let's see if we can get this one running. And I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can get this piece of junk running, and then I can try and sell it for 20 bucks. Because, as I say, that's about what I would expect to get for a VHS machine. I'm going to hear everybody telling me now that it ain't worth 20 bucks. And my response to that is, there are people that, believe it or not, still, for whatever crazy reasons, still like to use VHS tapes for whatever. I don't have any answers as to why people still use tapes. Well, I know why people still use tapes. It's the boomers who are now having grandchildren and are playing the old Disney tapes or old tapes that they had from when their kids were young. Usually it's Disney tapes that they've dragged out of a closet and they're trying to play them back. That's usually the people that I see that bring me VCRs or that buy old machines from me. It's not so much people buying them to archive. It's people in their 50s and 60s that are got grandchildren now, and they've got tapes from 40 years ago when their kids were little, and they want to play those tapes back, and it's usually Disney tapes is what they're playing. So there is a market for this old crap that they don't make anymore. So that's why I try to save every one of them that crosses my bench. I really do try to save it, because even though these may not have a lot of value, they still do have a purpose. There's still lots of media out there. Not everybody wants to pay $10 a month or whatever a Disney Plus subscription costs. There's a lot of people that don't want to pay that. You know, if you've got kids, then sure. But if you've got grandchildren that you see maybe a couple times a month, and you just want to be able to haul out an old tape and throw it in the machine and play it, a lot of them don't want to have that added extra monthly expense. And hauling out an old tape and plugging it in the VCR when the grandchildren come to visit is more than enough for a lot of them. Okay, now this mechanism I think should lift out now. It's got plugs on the back on this one, so it should lift out without any effort. This is a little different unit than I'm used to seeing. I never saw many of these units because the Emersons we considered them to be the cheap of the cheap. And where I worked, the owner would not let this stuff come into the store. If someone walked in with one of these machines, if it needed anything more than cleaning, they were told to throw it out. I had a shop owner that he really had a problem with people buying stuff at other stores, and he didn't like the service. He didn't like the service stuff that was purchased elsewhere. So he had a real chip on his shoulder when stuff came in that obviously we didn't sell. Oh yeah, this clip's here. If I push these clips down, it should release it. But he had a real chip on his shoulder, servicing stuff that didn't come from his store. And he would outright tell people to take their stuff and throw it out. There we go. That lifts that off. Now, the top. So I think these clips were holding the mechanism in. Now the mechanism should lift off. Anyway, yeah, he had a real problem with people buying stuff at the competition, and would tell people to take their stuff and toss it out or buy a new one, or whatever. He didn't want to repair anything that didn't come from his store, or stuff that wasn't warranted work that we were getting paid for warranty. If an item came from, if it was a Sony or a Panasonic or one of the other brands that we carried, and it came from another dealer, it was an authorized dealer, we were obligated to fix it because we were a warranty depot. So we couldn't really turn that stuff down, or we would risk losing our warranty status, our warranty shop status. But if it was something like this, well, he had no problem telling people to take that junk away. So I never really got to see this equipment and how well or how bad it was. Looking at this so far, it actually doesn't look to be too bad. It's got optical sensors for the rotation sensors. And here's the mode switch. And the mode switch is nice and easy to get to. I only have the right size screwdriver. It's a number 1 Phillips, it looks like. I'm just looking for my other. Put the number 1 bit on this. Pick Quick, made in Canada. Actually, they're in Vancouver. That's where their factory is. So couldn't get much more local than this. Nice to give the local companies a plug on my channel. If you're looking for a good screwdriver set, that's the one to buy. Okay, this should lift out. And there's a timing mark on here, just making sure that it's It's timed. And I think there's probably a keyway right down here on the gear so that it only goes in. Yes, there is, you see. So there's no mistaking this. There's a keyway right there. And that keyway fits into that larger space on the gear. So there's no mistaking which way this goes in. So let's pop this switch apart. Press it down there. And indeed, the contacts look to be pretty grimy. So let's clean this up. I'll get my deoxit out and we'll clean the contacts. As usual, I'm going to use this deoxit, the 100% concentrated cleaner that's in the squeeze bottle, because I just don't feel like spraying the other stuff around, and this stuff lasts a lot longer because you don't use very much. The other stuff you waste a lot because it sprays everywhere. And you don't need the solvent because we're applying it directly to the switch. So I put some deoxit on here, on the contacts. Work it in, and then we'll wipe it out with a cotton swab and clean it up. So I got a new cotton swab here. And we'll clean those contacts. As you can see, just that little bit of rubbing has taken out a lot of the oxidation. There's more oxidation on the back here that we can clean up. You can see even that little bit that's on the Q-tip really polishes up those contacts nicely. This stuff works like magic. See what I mean? Look how clean that is now. Just a little bit of rubbing, and we'll put a little more on there and remove that oxidation. Let it soak in a bit. Much better than it was. A little more on here. I'll leave some behind. This is just to polish the contacts up as the switch rotates. This will keep it clean. We'll do the same on the contacts over here. These are also obviously dirty. We can put some deoxit right onto the, well, there's not much left of that Q-tip, but we'll get a little bit cleaner portion of this one. We'll put some on the Q-tip itself. Use that to wipe the contacts and see what comes off them. And what was black are now nice and shiny. To say we'll leave a bit behind on the switch, put the switch pad together and then spin it a few times, and that will polish those contacts up. Okay, that should have the switch clean. Now we'll put it back together and see whether that fixes this one. There's a good chance that that's all that's wrong with this VCR, is the mode switch was dirty, and I'll clean up the heads, and everything else looks to be in good shape. The belt is still got lots of torque on here, lots of torque, no problem with that belt. We'll take that switch and we'll put it back where it belongs, the little cutaway here. Just going to turn this mechanism so that it's exactly in the center. There we go, timing mark is there, and this other one here its timing mark lines up like that. Should be able to see it on this side. There should be a cutaway in it, which I think there is. Yes, there is. I can see it. So there's a little tab right here. There's a, on the back side, there's a, on the back side there's a little notch that you can see. You can see it from the top here. There's a notch there, and that notch lines up. Just push the switch in place, line that notch up with the little hole that's on here, and that's the alignment. But it will plug in there just like that. So once you get the switch in place, you just push it forward and it locks in place. Now it's synchronized, and then put the screw back in. So it's kind of like a two-step process. Put the switch in, slide it forward. Now I should be able to pop this back into the chassis, and with a little bit of luck, it will work. Mode switch meshes right here with this contact. I wonder who made this unit for Emerson. Obviously they didn't make their own. I'm curious as to who made this for them. Yeah, it might be an Orion made machine. I mean, the way these connectors work, that reminds me of Panasonic. No buttons on the machine itself. The buttons are all on a separate board, which plugs in to the front here. Just a standard resistor divider network. We'll stick the bottom on it now, and that way I can plug everything in. So bottom cover. See, I'm fairly confident that it's probably going to work. Could be completely wrong, but we'll turn it over. Put the bottom cover back on. It just slides in place, just like that, and locks in by just pushing it forward. Cool. I like it. I like it. I like the simplicity of how that thing opens up. And front panel. Put the front panel on. I'll lift up the cassette door. I'll just slide the front panel back on. It just locks in place. Slides in like that. Under the board. Like that. Wow, that was simple. Plug the buttons back in. I'll plug my monitor in. Get the TV turned on. And we'll see whether this thing does anything more than it did, 10 minutes ago. Wouldn't it be funny if I did all this and found my camera wasn't recording? It's happened before. Power. Okay. The moment of truth. Is the thing gonna play? Drum is spinning. I think this thing's gonna play. Uh-oh. Well, maybe not. Maybe that loading belt is slipping. I think the loading belt might be slipping too, but we'll see. Power. I will just give it a bit of a hand here when it gets to the end of its loading cycle. Turn to the bit. There we go. It's playing!
12, 25, or 30.
Woohoo! I gotta find a belt for it. So let's go find a belt for this thing. Eject. This belt actually might be good to try boiling this, so I'm going to go throw this belt in the microwave and boil it for 10 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with the freshly boiled belt. Get that thing back in here. Okay. Freshly boiled belt. 10 minutes in the microwave. Will it slip? Or will it play?
Sales must be registered with Bose by April 30th, 1999.
That sounds like it's playing to me. Let's remove the tape. I'll clean the heads on it. I'll put another tape in it and we'll do a final test. I'm not even going to test this thing for recording because if it plays, it's going to record. Simple as that. So I'll just get a piece of paper. Should have some of those kicking around here. And some alcohol. And we'll put it on the head drum and give it a spin counterclockwise. Not much on there to clean. Now we'll get a Q-tip, cotton bud, whatever you want to call it. Clean the audio control head, the tape guides. Actually, this mechanism doesn't look to be too bad, you know. The layout, it's all metal. Got some plastic guide bases here, but the chassis itself is metal. I'll play my own tape. And there it is. I really do need to get myself a new tripod. Actually, this isn't even a tripod. This is a Franken tripod that I'm using for the camera. It was a Manfrotto, a good Manfrotto heavy duty tripod with a half decent head on it, although the tilt lock is kind of buggered up on it now. But it was a reasonably good set of sticks at one time, and I just took another cheap, what is it, Japanese made one. It says made in Japan on it. I have no idea what it is. It might be a Slick or something. What is it? It doesn't even say. Anyway, just a regular cheap tripod, and I zap tied it to the handle on the Manfrotto. Just one big zap tie. Basically squeeze the legs of it around the handle for the Manfrotto, and it basically operates as a crane. Anyway, the head on this thing is sometimes getting a bit loose, and it will just it has a mind of its own. I'll be working away, and all of a sudden the camera will just spin around on its own. Anyway, it's this machine, as you can see, is working. I got picture and I got sound, and that's all I can ask for out of such a basic, cheap machine. But this one's going to get sold. Somebody will get a great machine for 20 bucks, and we'll keep another one out of the landfill and keep somebody happy being able to play their old videotapes. And yes, the belt boiling trick does work. Unless your belts have turned to mush and they're all stretching, it won't work in those cases. But if you've got one that's just slipping a bit, boiling a belt will fix the problem the majority of the time. Got a couple more screws just to put in this thing to hold the chassis back together. One at the back here, and then two through the deck, and then the top goes on it, and this one's back together. Thanks for watching.